Country roads take me home to a place I belong. West Virginia. Marty, take it. Yeah, I get it, buddy. Yeah.
He's doing great.
God, he's such a good singer, dude.
He really is.
That's Marty.
There he is.
Welcome to Haunts, Graves, and Omens.
Welcome.
As you can probably tell, Marty isn't here.
Only probably.
Yeah. He's still too famous for the podcast now.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, he's always like, I'm not going to record. You know, I got to sign all my books and go on my tour. You know, and he's like, I'll try to pencil you in, you know, maybe. And, you know, he's just a little too famous for us now.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. Marty is in New Mexico dealing with the memorial service for his dad. And our hearts go out to him. We love our little fat baby boy. Yeah. We got to trash him at least once.
I mean, I guess, yeah.
Yeah. I guess. But welcome to Haunts, Graves, and Omens. To those of you watching on YouTube, thanks so much. You guys have been killing it. For those listening to audio platform, step it up. I'm just kidding.
Stop.
I'm just kidding. Love you guys too. You guys are the very first OGs, if you will. And if you've stuck with us for almost nearly 100 episodes of Haunts, Graves, and Omens, damn, dude. Almost 2 years.
It's crazy.
It's pretty crazy, dude. We're rapidly approaching our 2-year mark.
It's wild.
I got to figure out when I actually think it was October 13th is when we did our first episode.
That would make sense.
There was something along those lines. So we're getting real close. Real close.
This year it's on a Friday too. October the 13th on a Friday.
It is on Friday the 13th. So we'll have to like dress up or something.
Yeah.
Pretty sick. I'll dress up like Jason Voorhees. Like Friday the 13th. I probably should hang out my Jason Voorhees mask, dude. Which is in this room somewhere, I think.
I think it's somewhere over there.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
I
should probably know what that is. But nonetheless, my brain's still a little foggy. I took a nice midday nap after drinking a Red Bull, which is probably not super good for me.
It's usually how that works.
Yeah. So that's super cool.
Yeah.
But this episode is going to be very heavy right off the get-go. So if you have a hard time talking of death, this is going to be a real fucked up episode for you. You ready?
I suppose,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, today we are going to be covering the James Huberty, the San Ysidro McDonald's Massacre.
I'm gonna pop over.
Oh yeah, Taylor's
real quick.
Taylor's gonna hit the spooky. There it is.
There we go.
Are you ready to get into it?
I'm ready.
She's ready. James Oliver Huberty, born October 11th, 1942, was born in Canton, Ohio, the second of 2 children born to Earl Vincent, a quality inspector, and Isel Evalone Huberty, a homemaker. Both parents were devoutly religious, and the family were regular attendees at the local United Methodist churches. When James was about 3 years old, he contracted polio. To minimize the debility of his ailment, he was required to wear steel and leather braces upon both legs, just like in Forrest Gump. Those little braces.
Yeah.
Although James made progressive recovery from his ailment, he would be affected with a mild limp for the remainder of his life. In 1950, Earl Huberty purchased a 155-acre farm in Mount Eaton. Isel refused to live in a rural location and refused to even view the property. Shortly thereafter, Isel abandoned her family to perform a sidewalk preaching as a Pentecostal missionary in Tucson, Arizona. What we do in the Shadows reference.
Yeah.
Huberty James found his mother's abandonment emotionally devastating. His father would later recollect finding his son slumped against the family chicken coop, sobbing.
Oh.
Yeah. It's awful for a kid.
No, that's really hard. Like,
yeah.
I can't imagine like just picking up everything and leaving your entire family.
I can't think about it every day.
Don't.
Yeah, I'm gonna move to a foreign country, like I don't know, South Sudan, Syria.
I thought you were gonna
Iraq,
be like,
Afghanistan.
Not where I thought you.
Ukraine.
I don't think you really want to move to any of those spots, but I honestly.
You're the nicest time of year.
Fully thought that you were going to make a joke and say that you were going to move, somewhere foreign, like Alaska.
I'm moving somewhere foreign, like Tuscan, Arizona.
And I don't know. That's what I thought you were going to say. I was trying to predict it.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know where you're going with this.
I'm moving somewhere foreign, like Gary, Indiana.
Bad idea.
So James was a sullen child with few friends whose primary interest was target practice. He lives on a 155-acre farm. It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
A family acquaintance would later describe him as a 100%, I'm going to read it as it's written, queer little boy who practiced incessantly with target pistol.
Oh.
Yeah. So, by his teens, James was something of an amateur gunsmith. Due to his limp, his family's extreme religious beliefs, and his ridiculous to socialize with his peers, James was frequently targeted by bullies at the Waynedale High School. An average scholar, he graduated 51st out of 77 students in 1970. In 1962, James enrolled into Malone College. He initially studied sociology before opting to study at the Pittsburgh Institute of Mortuary Science. Wanted to be a mortician. He graduated with honors from this institute in 1964, being issued with a funeral director's license, and the following year an embalmer's license. Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So, in early 1965, James married Etna Markland, who he had met while attending Malone College. Shortly after his marriage, James obtained employment at a funeral home in Canton. Although proficient at embalming, James's introverted personality made him ill-suited with dealing with members of the public, casting minor conflicts with his superiors. Nonetheless, he worked in this profession for 2 years before opting to become a welder at a firm in Louisville.
That is a very different jump of I want to become a mortician. I think I want to pick up welding instead. It just seems like a better option.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's a jump.
It is quite a jump, but I mean, you have to talk to less people, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I feel like, I don't know, he would have done something slightly adjacent.
Yeah.
I don't know, he could have been a undertaker or something. You don't really have to deal with people.
So he worked for this firm for about 2 years before securing a better paid position at Babcock and Wilcox. Nice. In June of 1969. Nice. Surrounded by Cox in 69. Although reclusive and taciturn, taciturn. I don't know. I can't fucking read, dude. My glasses are on. My prescription's fucked up. I gotta get this in old man font. Hold on. Excuse me. Anyway.
That looks about right. Tacticum.
Yeah. James's employers considered him a reliable worker. He willingly took overtime, earned promotions, and by the mid-1970s, regularly earned between $25,000 and $300,000 per year, which is today $138,000 to $166,000 a year.
That's pretty good.
That's very good. Shortly after James was hired by this firm, he and his wife moved to a 3-story home in a section of Massacre, Ohio. In the winter of 1973, this home was destroyed in a fire. Shortly thereafter, James and Edna bought another house on the same street and later built a 6-unit apartment building on the grounds of their first home, which they managed. And he had 2 daughters named Zelia and Cassandra, which were born respectively in 1972 and 74. So from all accounts, this man seems like a typical family man. While a bit awkward and a bit weird, there's no real signs of anything.
He doesn't sound like too like intense.
Yeah.
You know, he just sounds kind of like a quirky little guy.
He sounds like just a quirky guy. Sounds like he's a little quiet, you know, just kind of lives his life, kind of does his things, and was like, oh, can't really talk to people, and maybe being a mortician's not for me, but I always come back to it, and goes into welding, you know, and he's like, oh, I'm pretty good at welding, and then he starts doing really good at welding, and they start getting all these pay raises, and he's like, this is my life. You know, it just sounds like just the story of just an average Joe Schmo doing his biz, you know, just kind of living his life. But with every story like this, there is a dark side. Oh. James had a history of domestic violence, frequently slapping or punching his daughters, holding knives to their throats, or beating his wife.
Jesus Christ.
True psychopath.
Yeah. No, like...
terrifying.
Not your average guy anymore. Nope.
Yeah. On one occasion, Edna, she filed a report with the Canton Department of Children and Family Services stating their husband had messed up her jaw, like quote unquote messed up her jaw. Although she later insisted on the majority of the occasion he had assaulted her, he only struck her once.
Oh.
It's just I grew up in a family of just constant domestic violence, you know?
Yeah.
And I saw this shit play a million times over, you know, where I would get fucking beat to shit, and then the cops would be called, and then I would be like, it wasn't as bad as they thought it was, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, meanwhile, it's pretty fucking bad, you know? It's just that cycle that never ends.
Right.
And eventually one day you have to break out of that cycle. And I did. Now I'm here. So, but less of my pity party story. So I can see her saying that, like, it wasn't as bad, or like he only did it once. Like,
yeah. But like,
sure, maybe he only hit her one time. During that time. But there's probably other times where he was, you know, he's holding fucking knives to his kids' throats and shit, dude. That's you're a fucking crazy person.
Exactly.
Beginning in 1976, Edna repeatedly attempted to persuade her husband to seek counseling to alleviate his sources of stress, although he refused to seek any form of therapy. Wow, that sounds... Getting a lot of flashbacks of my childhood life. Like, you should, like, talk to somebody and, like, it's fine.
Like, he might actually want to.
Yeah.
Like...
yeah, maybe it might help you not be a fucking crazy person. In personal efforts to pacify her husband's temper, anxiety, and general paranoia, and both to influence and control his behavior, Edna took great efforts to minimize any possibility of agitating her husband. Walking on eggshells. It's a thing you see time and time again. That's what I did for fucking years. Was walk on eggshells and hope I just didn't get fucking beat. Yeah. It's weird to, like, read stories like this and just be like, oh fuck, dude, like, this is the same kind of life where I lived, you know?
Yeah.
And it's bizarre. So she also gradually developed a mechanism whereby she claimed to be able to read his future by reading and playing tarot cards. James believed her.
All right.
Edna's readings would produce a temporary calming effect. James would typically follow the recommendations his wife made with these readings. So that's a pretty interesting take. To his neighbors and coworkers, James was perceived as sullen, ill-tempered, and somewhat paranoid individual, obsessed with firearms, who harbored a mental tally of every setback, insult, or general source of frustration, real or perceived, against himself or his family within his mind. He is what the medical term is known as cuckoo bananas. Yeah.
I wasn't expecting you to say it that way.
Yeah, it's a medical term. It's silly willy cuckoo bananas up in the noggin. That's the full term. I just wanted to shorten it down. Occasionally, James would retaliate in response to any real or perceived injustice in an effort to settle what he deemed he termed to be my debts, and conflicts with his neighbors would once lead to his detainment on charges of disorderly conduct. On one occasion, he is known to have informed the father of 2 girls who he had encouraged his daughters to fight in response to a conflict between their children. Uh-huh. And he said, quote, "I believe in paying my debts, both good and bad."
Oh.
So, dude's fucking crazy.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So, a conspiracy theorist, self-proclaimed survivalist, James believed in an escalation of the Cold War was inevitable, and the President Jimmy Carter and later Ronald Reagan and the United States government were conspiring against him. Does that fucking sound like paranoid? Specifically him.
Oh.
Sounds like paranoid schizophrenia.
Yeah.
The paranoia, especially.
Right, like that.
It's just like the government is coming after me. They're coming after me. The president and Ronald Reagan and Jimmy Carter, they want my blood.
Yeah, Ronald Reagan absolutely knows who he is.
They do want my blood.
Oh. Yeah? What do we want to do with it?
You don't want to know. Reagan just
little drink.
We're gonna get his blood.
Little sippy sip.
That's what happened, dude. It's happened at Watergate, dude. Let people know that.
The true Watergate was trying to prevent people from knowing he was a vampire?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Convinced of an imminent increase in Soviet aggression, James believed that a breakdown of society was fast approaching, perhaps through economic collapse or nuclear war. He committed himself to prepare to survival this perceived collapse, and provisioned his house with ample reserve supplies of non-perishable food and numerous guns, some purchased from coworkers that he intended to use to defend his home during what he believed to be the upcoming apocalypse.
Oh, goody.
He's just a normal dude.
Yeah, no, just your average guy.
Average guy, dude.
Average man.
Yeah, he's, as you see, he's fucking crazy.
Oh, yeah, no, he's fucking psycho.
According to one family acquaintance named James Aslanes, Huberty's home was beckoned with loaded firearms to such a degree that whenever Huberty was sitting or standing within his home, he could just reach over and get a gun.
Jesus
Each
Christ.
firearm was loaded with the safety catch disabled.
That's fucking terrifying.
So they're fucking racked, they're ready to go, and their safety's off at any given moment.
That's terrifying.
That's pretty fucking scary.
Like, you just think about, like, how dangerous that is, like, just in a home,
Yeah.
with kids.
Yeah.
Too. Like, what the fuck? I don't like that.
No, I don't like that at all. Excuse me. So, in November of '82, James was laid off from his welding job at Babcock and Wilcox. They said, James, they're not handling enough cocks around here.
No more cocks for you.
Mm-hmm. Maybe go to work at a lumber yard, handle some wood, and then come back to Babcock and Wilcox after you handle some wood. It caused him to become despondent over his dire financial situation and general inability to provide for his family. One coworker would later recollect that upon being notified of the impending closure of his engineering firm, James had made a comment indicating that he was unable to provide for his family, and he intended to commit suicide and, quote, take everyone with him.
Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Did he, like, I don't know, alert the police? Like, hey, you might want to check on this guy.
Well, it's... probably not.
Like, I don't get that. Like, if someone's saying something like that, it's like, maybe it's harmless, but like...
This is the day and age where it was kind of like, my own fucking business, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, as fucked up as it is. Anyway, according to Edna, shortly after her husband became unemployed, James began hearing voices.
Oh.
Surprise, surprise. In early 1983, he placed a loaded pistol against his temple, threatening to commit suicide. Edna successfully dissuaded her husband from shooting himself, although he later remarked to her, "You should have let me shoot myself."
Great. Yes, no, put the blame on her. That's a wonderful idea.
As fucked up as it is that he was trying to kill himself, if he would have done it, it would have saved a lot of lives.
Right.
Coming
it
up.
Just
like, obviously no one can see into the future.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like how different things would have been.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Going forward.
But also just like saying that to your partner, like, you should have just let me kill myself. That's like, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, that's pretty dark. Unable to find lasting employment in Ohio, James and Edna Huberty sold their 6-unit apartment building for $115,000 in the spring of 1983.
Wow.
Yep, which is a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
Shortly thereafter, James obtained an alternate welding employment with the Union Metal Manufacturing Company. This employment lasted 5 weeks before the closure of the plant.
Oh, God.
Of course. Weeks after becoming unemployed, James and one of his daughters were injured in a traffic accident. In the weeks following this accident, James noted an aggravation in his neck pains he had endured since childhood. He also noted an occasional and increasing nerve tremor in his hands and arms.
Jeez.
Which is quite a shame. You know, he's a scumbag. If he wasn't a scumbag and he got into an accident and now he has like nerve problems and all this stuff, like, man, that's awful, man. I feel bad for you, but at the same time, this guy's a fucking scumbag.
Yeah.
So you're gonna hate this guy even more the further we continue.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Because I already don't.
Yeah, we already hate its fucking guts. But in the summer of 1983, the Hubertys applied for residency in Mexico, believing their money obtained from the sale of their apartment building would financially sustain the family longer in Mexico than in the United States. Also, having sold their home for just $12,000 in cash in September, with the buyer assuming their $48,000 mortgage, Huberty informed the family acquaintance of his intentions to relocate the family to Tijuana in search of employment opportunities, confidently stating, "We're going to show them who was boss."
Okay.
We're going to show them who's boss. Fucking idiot. When Huberty and his family moved from Ohio to Tijuana in October of 1983, he left all but most of essential of his family's possessions in a storage in Ohio, but ensured he bought his huge collection of guns, ammunition, survival supplies with him.
Of course he did.
According to published reports, James' wife and daughters embraced their new environs became friendly with their neighbors, although James, who spoke little Spanish, was sullen and taciturn, just like how he was, back in fucking Ohio. He's just a weird fucking guy.
The change of scenery isn't gonna fucking help shit.
No. Upon finding employment in Tijuana, Huberty quickly regretted his decision to relocate to Mexico. Within 3 months, the family relocated to San Ysidro, a largely poor district of San Diego, California, just north of the Mexico-United States border, which in 1984 had a population of about 13,000 people.
It's pretty small.
Pretty small. So, in San Ysidro, the Hubertys rented an apartment within the Cottonwood Apartments as Huberty sought employment. The fact his family were the only Anglo-Americans within this apartment complex irritated Huberty, who was nobly rude to his neighbors.
Great.
Yes. Shortly thereafter, Huberty applied to a newspaper advertisement offering a security guard training in a federally funded program. He completed this course on April 12th and soon obtained employment with the security firm in Chula Vista, assigned with guarding a condominium complex, which is really funny that we say all these places because I know where all these places are in my brain. Like Chula Vista, San Ysidro, I can picture them where they're at.
Yeah.
So the money he earned enabled the family to have their furniture shipped from Ohio, and the family relocated to a 2-bedroom apartment on Averill Road the same month. The family rent for this apartment was about $450.
That's really cheap.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
On July 10th, Huberty was summarily dismissed from his job.
Great.
His employers informed Huberty the reason of his dismissal was the poor work performance and noted general physical instability. So, he's not very good at his job.
Well, maybe he should be better at it.
Maybe he should. So, on July 15th, 1984, Huberty commented to his wife, Edna, that he suspected he had a mental health problem.
Shit.
Edna, I think I might be crazy. What do you think? It's like, well,
why don't I pull out the tarot card?
yeah, dude. Hey, maybe we'll find out. Yes.
No, that's not coming from me. This is what the cards are saying.
This is what the cards are saying. Yeah.
If she agreed, he probably would have gotten upset about that.
Just walks into the mental health clinic and he's like, cards say I'm crazy. And they're like, all right.
What else did the cards say?
Yeah. So 2 days later, on the morning of July 17th, he called San Diego Mental Health Clinic requesting an appointment. Leaving his contact details with the receptionist, Huberty was assured the clinic would return his call within hours. According to his wife, he sat quietly beside the telephone for several hours awaiting the return call before abruptly walking out of the family home and riding to an unknown destination on his motorcycle. Unbeknownst to Huberty, the receptionist had misspelled his name as Schuberty. His polite demeanor conveyed no sense of urgency to the operator, and he had elaborated in the phone call that he had never been hospitalized for mental health issues. Therefore, the call had been logged as non-crisis inquiry to be handled within 48 hours.
Oh.
Yes. Approximately 1 hour later, Huberty returned home in a contented mood. After eating dinner, Huberty, his wife, and the two daughters, now ages 12 and 10, cycled to a nearby park. Later that evening, he and Edna watched a film together on their television. So, comes back and he's just calm, like just being somewhat normal, still being weird.
Just
has dinner, watches a movie.
Oddly calm, considering how I assume he was not super happy when he left.
Yes. The following morning, Wednesday, July 18th, 1984, Huberty, his wife, and children visited the San Diego Zoo.
Oh.
Yeah. In the course of their walk through the zoo, Huberty told his wife of his belief that his life was effectively over.
Oh.
Referring to mental health clinic's failure to return his phone calls the previous day, he said, well, society had their chance. After eating lunch at a McDonald's restaurant in the Claremont neighborhood of San Diego, Huberty returned home. Shortly thereafter, Huberty walked to his bedroom wearing a maroon t-shirt and green camouflage slacks as his wife lay relaxed upon their bed. He leaned toward Edna and said, I want to kiss you goodbye. Edna kissed her husband and asked him where he was going, stating her intention to soon prepare the family dinner. Huberty calmly replied where he was going. Going hunting. Hunting for humans.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Don't like that. Holding a gun across his shoulder and carrying a box of ammunition and a bundle wrapped in a checkered blanket, Huberty glanced towards his elder daughter, Zelia, as he walked towards the front door of the family home and said, goodbye. I won't be back.
Oh.
Huberty then drove down San Ysidro Boulevard. According to eyewitnesses, he drove first towards a Big Bear supermarket and then towards a U.S. Post Office branch before entering the parking lot of a McDonald's restaurant approximately 200 yards from his apartment.
Jesus.
Yep. And if you could handle what I just said, I mean, if you can I'm trying to think of how the best way to put this. The rest of the next segments are going to be fucking brutal.
Yeah.
Like, brutal. So, if you can't handle it, I recommend maybe skipping this episode. Maybe listen to last week's episode if you haven't already. It's more ghosts and stuff.
Yeah.
More fun. So, at approximately 3:56 p.m. on July 18th, Huberty drove his black Mercedes Marquis sedan in the parking lot of the McDonald's restaurant on San Ysidro Boulevard. In his possession was a 9mm Browning HP semi-automatic pistol, a 9mm Uzi carbine, a Winchester 1200 12-gauge pump-action shotgun, a box, and a cloth filled with hundreds of rounds of ammunition for each weapon. A total of 45 customers were present inside the restaurant. Entering the restaurant minutes later, James first aimed his shotgun at a 16-year-old employee named John Arnold from a distance of approximately 15 feet. As he did so, the assistant manager, Guillermo Flores, shouted, "Hey, John, that guy's going to shoot you." According to Arnold, when Huberty pulled the trigger, nothing happened.
Oh. As
Huberty inspected his gun, the manager of the restaurant, 22-year-old Neva Kane, walked towards the service counter of the restaurant in the direction of Arnold. As Arnold, believing the incident was a distasteful joke, began to walk away from the gunman. Huberty then leveled a shotgun towards Huberty then fired his shotgun towards the ceiling before aiming the Uzi at Kane, shooting her once beneath the left eye. She died minutes later.
Jeez.
Immediately after shooting Kane, Huberty fired his shotgun at Arnold, wounding the teenager in the chest and arm before shouting a comment to the effect of, "Everybody get on the ground." Huberty then referred to all present in the restaurant as dirty swine Vietnam assholes before claiming he had killed 1,000 and he intended to kill 1,000 more.
Oh.
Upon hearing Huberty's profane rant and seeing Kane and Arnold shot, one customer, 25-year-old Victor Rivera, tried to persuade Huberty not to shoot anyone else. In response, Huberty shot Rivera 14 times, repeatedly shouting, "Shut up," as Riviera screamed in pain.
Oh.
Excuse me. Yeah.
God.
As staff and customers tried to hide beneath the tables and service booths, Huberty turned his attention towards 6 women and children huddled together. He first killed 19-year-old Marina Colmenero Silvia with a single gunshot wound to the chest, and then fatally shot 9-year-old Claudia Perez in the stomach, cheek, thigh, hip, leg, chest, back, armpit, and head with his Uzi.
Jeez.
Yeah. He then wounded Perez's 15-year-old sister, Amelia, once in the hand with the same weapon, and fired upon 11-year-old Aurora Pena with his shotgun. Pena, initially wounded in the leg, had been shielded by her pregnant aunt, 18-year-old Jackie Reyes. Huberty shot Reyes 48 times with his Uzi.
Jesus.
Beside his mother's body, 8-month-old Carla Reyes sat up and wailed, whereupon Huberty shouted at the child and then killed the infant with a single pistol shot to the center of the back.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I told you it's gonna get dark.
Yeah.
Whew, I need a break for a second.
Yeah.
Dude just shot a baby in the back with a fucking handgun.
It's fucking just crazy.
Isn't that fucking insane?
Yeah.
It's not over yet.
I didn't think it was.
Huberty then shot and killed 62-year-old trucker named Lawrence Versailles before targeting a family seated nearby at the play area of the restaurant who had tried to shield their son and his friend beneath the tables with their bodies. 31-year-old Blythe Reagan Herrera had shielded her 11-year-old son Mateo beneath one booth as her husband Ronald protected Mateo's friend 12-year-old Keith Thomas beneath a booth directly across from them. Ronald Herrera urged Thomas not to move, shielding the boy with his body. Thomas was shot in the shoulder, arm, wrist, and left elbow, but was not seriously wounded. Ronald Herrera was shot 6 times in the stomach, chest, arm, hip, and shoulder, and head, but survived.
Wow.
Unfortunately, Blythe, his son, Mateo, and his son Mateo were both killed by numerous gunshot wounds to the head.
Jeez.
Nearby, 3 women had also attempted to hide beneath the booth. 24-year-old Guadalupe Del Rio lay against the wall. She was shielded by her friends, 25-year-old Gloria Ramirez and 31-year-old Aris Delcy Vulas Vargas. I'm butchering these middle names. I apologize. Del Rio was hit several times, but was not seriously wounded. Ramirez was unhurt, whereas Vargas received a single gunshot wound to the back of the head. She died of them the next day, the only person fatally wounded who lived long enough to reach the hospital. At another booth, Huberty killed 45-year-old banker Hugo Vasquez with a single shot to the chest. At approximately 4 p.m., the first of many 911 calls to emergency services were made, notifying police of the shooting of a child who had been taken to the post office on San Ysidro Boulevard. The dispatchers mistakenly directed the responding officers to another McDonald's 2 miles from the San Ysidro Boulevard restaurant. The error delayed the imposition of the lockdown by several minutes, and the only warnings to civilians walking, riding, or driving towards the restaurant were given by passerbyers. Shortly after 4 p.m., a young woman named Lydia Flores drove into the parking lot. She stopped at the food pickup window. Flores noticed shattered windows and the sound of gunfire before, quote, looking up, and there he was, just shooting.
Jeez.
Flores reversed her car until she crashed into a fence. She hid in some bushes with her 2-year-old daughter, Melissa, until the shooting ended. At approximately 4:05 p.m. So before we get to that, so he started shooting. Scroll up a little bit. At 3:56-ish is when he started shooting.
Right.
The first 911 calls were made at 4 p.m. So 4 minutes later, after the shooting has initially begun, they call 911. It is now 7 minutes later. No, fucking 7 minutes later. It is now 9 minutes later at 4 or 5 p.m.
Yeah.
Just span of 9 minutes, this is happening. A Mexican couple, Astolfo and Marcelia Felix, drove toward one of the service areas of the restaurant, noting the shattered glass. Astolfo initially assumed renovation was in progress, and that Huberty, striding towards the car, was a repairman. Huberty fired his Uzi and shotgun at the couple and their 4-month-old daughter, Carlita, striking Marcelina in the face, arms, and chest, blinding her in one eye and permanently rendering one hand unusable. Her baby was critically wounded in the neck and chest and abdomen. Astolfo was wounded in the chest and head. Astolfo and Marcelina staggered away from Huberty's line of fire. Marcelina gave her baby to her husband. Astolfo handed the shrieking child to a young woman named Lucia Velasco, and as his wife collapsed against the car, Velasco rushed the baby to a nearby hospital as her husband assisted Astolfo and Marcelina into a nearby building. All 3 members of the Felix family survived.
Wow.
That fucking Velasco, and her husband, those guys are fucking G's, dude.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, going to the hospital, husband says bye. He's like, fuck this, dude. Gonna start grabbing these people, get them out, dude. Yeah. That's gangster shit, dude.
The thing that, like, I mean, like, obviously, I don't think she knew where he was going, but I feel like his wife should have been like, hey, you know, he just left in this area.
Yeah.
And like reported what her husband said.
Yeah.
You know? I don't know.
Oh yeah. You're talking about James's wife?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Oh yeah. Three 11-year-old boys then rode their BMX bikes to the west parking lot. Hearing a member of the public yell something unintelligible from across the street, all three hesitated before Huberty shot three boys with a shotgun and Uzi. Joshua Coleman fell to the ground, critically wounded in the back, arm, and leg. He later recalled looking towards his friends, Omar Alonso Hernandez and David Flores Delgado, noting that Hernandez was on the ground with multiple gunshot wounds to his back and started vomiting. Delgado had received several gunshot wounds to the head. Coleman survived, but Hernandez and Delgado both died on scene. Huberty next noticed an elderly couple, 74-year-old Miguel Victoria Ulloa. I apologize if I'm butchering that last name. And 69-year-old Ada Vasquez Victoria walking towards the entrance. It is mind-boggling to me that people are still walking up to this restaurant.
Yeah.
The sound of just heavy gunfire coming from this thing. As Miguel reached to open the door for his wife, Huberty fired his shotgun, killing Ada with a gunshot wound to the face and wounding Miguel. An uninjured survivor, Oscar Mondragon, which is a really cool last name, later reported observing Miguel cradling his wife in his arms and wiping blood from her face, shouting curses at Huberty, who then approached the doorway, swore at Miguel, and killed him with a single shot to the head.
Jeez.
Approximately 10 minutes after the first call had been placed, the emergency services police arrived at the correct McDonald's restaurant.
Great.
10 minutes.
We're also forgetting to mention it's 2 miles away.
2 miles away.
They were at another McDonald's 2 miles away, and it took them 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Fucking absurd.
Yeah. That is on whoever took the report initially.
Yeah.
You know, because officers are going to the address that is dispatched.
Yeah.
You know, they have to get the correct address. And when it comes to active shooter scenes like this, there is I think we talked about it when we talked about our last active shooter situations. We talked about the shootings, especially when we did Columbine. That was like a big one we talked about. Right. Was like there's a certain set of things you have to do when situations like this. It's obviously you want to get there as quickly as possible, right? Mm-hmm. Because the quicker you get there, the quicker you can intervene. But when it comes to stuff like this, this is a dude who is armed to the teeth, who is killing children.
Yeah.
To the elderly. Like, he's killing everybody, anything that fucking breathes. He's shooting at it.
Right.
And there is going to be no reasoning with this guy. There's going to be no, like, hey, it was put down the gun. This is a sense of you have to, it's what has been said 1,000 times, is stop the threats, stop the deaths, right?
Right.
Push in, smoke this motherfucker, and make sure he's fucking dead, and then fuck him, and then just get everybody out as quickly as you can. So the first officer on scene, Miguel Rosario, rapidly determined the location and cause of the actual disturbance, relayed this information to the San Diego Police Department as Huberty fired at Rosario's patrol car. Officers deployed immediately, imposing a lockdown on the area spanning 6 blocks from the site of the shootings. The police established a command post 2 blocks from the restaurant and deployed 175 officers in numerous strategic locations.
Holy.
These officers were joined within the hour by several SWAT team members who took positions around the restaurant. Now, you can see how things have changed, right?
Right.
They get shot at, they hunker down, they secure the area, which is what you're supposed to do. You got to secure the area. You got to secure that guy in there. You got to make him trapped, right? But nowadays, if some dude comes out and he's shooting a fucking McDonald's up like this, people are gonna have to push in and get him, because now we know that you wait around too long, he's gonna keep killing people.
Right.
and it's pretty nuts.
Yeah.
As Huberty was rapidly firing rapidly and alternating between firearms, police initially was unaware of how many individuals were inside the restaurant. Furthermore, because most of the restaurant windows had been shattered by gunfire, reflections from shards of glass provided an additional difficulty for police focusing inside the restaurant. Initially, police were concerned the gunmen or gunmen might be holding hostages, although one individual who had escaped from the restaurant informed the police there was a single gunman present on the premises, holding no hostages and shooting any individual he encountered.
Jesus.
So, at 5:05 p.m., now this is a fucking...
hour.
Yeah, well over an hour later... all responding law enforcement personnel were authorized to kill the perpetrator should they obtain a clear shot, which is fucking crazy. That is not a thing that happens. Like it is within SWAT situations. There is a set of it's called ROE. It's called Rules of Engagement, and so. One example was I listened to this show, and you guys definitely go check it out. It's called the Shots Fired Podcast. It's law enforcement talking about being involved in shootouts or being involved in critical incidents, as they call it, where they have to neutralize a threat.
Right.
Of how 9 times out of 10, if an officer is going to be in an officer-involved shooting, it is within 10 feet, and it happens within seconds. It's somebody pulling out a gun, them pulling out a gun. They engage each other. Whoever gets the cleanest hits wins, essentially.
Right.
But there are situations like this where that is not really the case. This is an active shooter environment. This dude is shooting and killing anybody he can. And, your rule of engagement has to change. Where in the Shots Fired podcast I was talking about there was a story of a man who was, I want to say he was Las Vegas SWAT. And he was a sniper. He is a sniper within that team. And how a man was barricaded inside of an RV, saying that he had a bomb inside and all that. And he had shot at officers and all that. But their ROE standing at the time was that unless he's coming out and he's brandishing towards them or he's actively firing,
right,
don't smoke him. But their ROE had to change once they determined that he was saying he had a bomb inside the RV, which is now a mobile bomb. And they said, ROE's now changed. If he gets in that driver's seat, you fucking put a round in his face. You drop him dead.
Right.
Well, naturally, that dude tries to start fucking around, dude. Comes outside the RV to engage these guys. Now, he is no longer. He is not actively firing at him, but he's got a firearm in his hands. So they change their ROE. They neutralize him. And in this situation, it is crazy to have 178 some officers. And you go, if any one of you get a fucking line of sight on this guy, you shoot him dead.
Yeah.
Shoot him dead. No questions asked.
Understandably so.
Totally understandable. This dude's killing a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
But it's just such a weird. It's a very dynamic situation. You have multiple people we said 45 inside the restaurant at the time.
Yeah.
Of the shooting, and plus all the ones he's killed outside.
Right.
And he's shot at law enforcement. But it's just crazy to think of hearing that broadcasted over the radio, saying, if you fucking get a line of sight on him, you kill this guy. So, several survivors later reported observing Huberty walk toward the service counter and adjust a portable radio, possibly to search for news reports of a shooting spree, before selecting a music station and further shooting individuals as he danced to the music.
Ugh.
Yeah. Shortly thereafter, Huberty searched the kitchen area, discovering 6 employees and shouting, "Oh, there was more. You're trying to hide from me, you bastards." In response, one of the female employees screamed in Spanish, "Don't kill me, don't kill me," before Huberty opened fire, killing 21-year-old Paulina Lopez, 19-year-old Elsa Barbero Ferrero, and 18-year-old Margarita Padilla, and critically wounding 17-year-old Albert Leos.
Jeez.
Yeah. Immediately before Huberty began shooting, Padilla grabbed the hand of her friend and colleague, 17-year-old Wendy Flanagan. Before the two began to run, Padilla was then fatally shot. Flanagan Flanagan, 4 other employees, and a female customer and her infant hid inside the basement utility room. They were later joined by Leos, who had crawled to the utility room after being shot a total of 5 times.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. When a fire truck drove within range, Huberty opened fire and repeatedly pierced the vehicle with bullets, slightly wounding one occupant. Hearing a wounded teenager, 19-year-old Jose Perez, moaning, Huberty shot him in the head. The boy then slumped dead in the booth. Perez died alongside his friend and neighbor, 22-year-old Gloria Gonzalez, and a young woman named Michelle Carncross. At one point, Aurora Pena, who had lain wounded beside her dead aunt, baby cousin, and 2 friends, noted a lull in the firing. Opening her eyes, she saw Huberty nearby, staring in her direction. He swore and threw a bag of French fries at Pena, then retrieved his shotgun and shot the child in the arm, neck, and jaw. Aurora Pena survived, although she would remain hospitalized longer than any other survivor. At 5:17 p.m., Huberty walked from the service counter toward a doorway close to the drive-in window of the restaurant, according to 27-year-old police SWAT sniper named Charles Foster, deployed in a strategic position on the roof of a post office directly opposite of the restaurant. An unobstructed view of his body from the neck down through his telescopic sight. Foster fired a single shot from the range of approximately 35 yards, which is real fucking close.
Yeah.
That is close.
Yeah.
The bullet entered Huberty's chest, severing his aorta just beneath his heart, and exited through his spines, leaving a 1 square inch exit wound and sending Huberty sprawling backwards onto the floor directly in front of the service counter, killing him almost instantly.
Good.
That is what I was talking about earlier, is how these SWAT snipers, they get that fucking line of sight, the ROE of just like, the ROE is now, if you see him, kill him.
Yeah.
And it's a perfect unobstructed view of him fucking from, belly up.
Yeah.
And that shot placement right in the chest, right, goes fucking, severs the aorta, goes right through his spines. That's game over, dude. You're done.
No,
that's game over.
Yeah.
Done. Instantly. But 35 yards is fucking close, man. That is close.
Yeah, it's not super far.
Yeah, 32 meters for those abroad, but 35 yards is that is insanely close. Like I said, 9 times out of 10, if you're gonna get into a gunfight with somebody, you're gonna be within 10 feet, which is not a lot of space.
Dude.
I would say our backdrop, not to get the fuck you guys up. This is obviously a backdrop because you got the dock back here. But this backdrop is, I want to say it's anywhere between,
I think it's 10 feet across.
I think it's 10 feet across. So it extends where you guys see on camera, for those watching, it extends probably about 3 feet past me and about 4 feet past Tay.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Give or take.
So, now you double that,
Yeah.
that is not a lot of space, man. Like, that is an insanely close shot.
But it does mean that he was likely to be more accurate. Mm-hmm. And he was.
Yeah. So, immediately after shooting Huberty, Foster relayed to a responding officer that he had killed the perpetrator and focus his remains on the motionless suspect. Nonetheless, as so many rounds have been expended from different firearms at the restaurant, police were not completely certain the sole perpetrator was deceased. Entering the restaurant approximately 1 minute later, police sergeant focused his gun upon Huberty as he noticed the movements of a wounded girl. When he asked if the deceased male was a suspect, the girl just nodded her head. The entire incident had lasted a total of 77 minutes, during which time Huberty had fired a total of 257 rounds of ammunition, killing 20 people and wounding as many others, one whom was pronounced brain dead upon arrival at the hospital and died the following day. 17 of the victims were killed inside the restaurant and 4 in the immediate vicinity. Only 10 individuals inside the restaurant were uninjured.
Jesus Christ.
6 of whom had hidden inside the basement utility room.
Wow.
Several victims had tried to stanch their own wounds or the wounds of their companions with napkins, often in vain. Of the fatalities, 13 died from gunshot wounds to the head, 7 from gunshot wounds to the chest. 1 victim, 8-month-old Carlos Reyes, from the single gunshot wound to the back. The victims, whose ages ranged from 4 months to 74 years, were predominantly, though not exclusively, of a Mexican or Mexican-American ancestry, reflecting on the local demographics. It's San Diego, California.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, prior to shooting several of his victims, Huberty shouted accusations or insults. One occasion, he had shouted that he himself did not deserve to live and that he was taking care of this matter. Although Huberty had repeatedly shouted throughout his shooting spree that he had been a veteran of the Vietnam War, he had never actually served in the military. We talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Fucking psycho.
Yeah. Initial reports issued by the San Diego Police Department following the massacre indicated that everyone injured or killed within the restaurant had been shot by Huberty in the initial minutes after he had first entered the restaurant. This claim was hotly disputed by survivors who stated Huberty had shot and wounded people for over 40 minutes after he had initially opened fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty wild.
Yeah.
Take a quick little just hold it together.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
These people just went there to go get lunch, as family, as friends, as coworkers, as, whatever. Just stop in,
Yeah.
Some not even realizing they're walking up to their final moments.
Yeah.
And I just there's just so many things that because I listened to how the elderly man and his wife walked up and he opened the door and she was shot in the face and killed instantly, and he took the rounds and then he was like, fuck you, to Huberty, and then he was killed. And it's like, this dude is dumping 254 rounds of ammunition,
Right.
And I'm like, in my mind I was thinking while I was reading it, I was like, why is nobody running away? Why is nobody hearing these gunshots and running? But I think that in a situation like that, you're like, oh, fucking a lot of noise, just because you're not expecting to walk into a fucking restaurant with a dude with a goddamn Uzi, it's just insane.
Yeah.
So the day after the massacre, reporters visited James Huberty's father in Mount Eden, Ohio, to garner further information about his son. Having discussed his son's childhood and the family religious backgrounds, James Huberty pointed to a painting of a lost sheep by the Jordan River before beginning to weep, informing reporters, "Yesterday was the worst day of my life. I feel so sorry for those people."
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of Dylan Klebold's parents and Eric Harris' parents, Yeah. I just recently I just watched an interview with them where they're talking about their son. It's like, there's my son,
Yeah.
They're just fucking just as far as the eye can see, just normal people.
Right.
Just live their life, and while his mom abandoned the family, I'm sure the dad did his best,
Yeah.
just tried to hold it together, and then this happens. It's fucking nuts. McDonald's temporarily suspended all television and radio advertisements in the following days of the massacre. In an act of solidarity, arch rival fast food chain Burger King also temporarily suspended all forms of advertising, which is a good move.
Yeah.
Huberty's body was cremated on July 23rd, 1984. No official religious service was observed throughout this act. His ashes were returned to his widow and later interred in his home state of Ohio. In the weeks following the massacre, Huberty's wife and daughters received numerous death threats, forcing them to temporarily reside with a family friend. All three would attend counseling sessions over the next 9 months. Edna Huberty and her daughters initially relocated from the San Ysidro to Chula Vista, where Zelia and Cassandra were then enrolled in school under assumed names. 1 year later, the family moved to a community of Spring Valley. Because of the sheer number of victims, and local funeral homes had to use San Ysidro Civic Center to hold wakes for each victim. The local parish, Mount Carmel Church, were focused to hold back-to-back funeral masses in order that each of the dead could be buried in a timely manner. It is also really interesting to notice that the Mount Carmel is also what David Koresh called the compound.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In Waco. Several police officers who responded to the scene of the massacre suffered symptoms including sleep withdrawal, loss of memory, and guilt within the months following the incident. In a study commissioned by the National Institute of Mental Health and conducted with the chief psychologist of the San Diego Police Department in 1985, concluded several officers suffered post-traumatic stress disorder as a result of the incident. And that is pretty progressive.
Yeah.
For a time like that.
Yeah.
That's nuts. That these guys, like, because a lot of people don't know this, but San Diego Police Department is rated the best police department in the United States.
Yeah.
Because of the way they treat people, the way they do their training, their de-escalation tactics, everything they do. And with this right here, just even in the 80s, still reaffirms that fact to me.
Right.
That these guys had to deal with an incredible barbaric act and basically try to stay alive while this gunman is shooting at them, shooting at civilians, just on the chance that they can shoot and kill this guy to stop this threat. And meanwhile, within feet, there's dead children, and they're just trying to hold it together. And luckily, that fucking idiot was able to walk up to a service window and take a 7.62 round right through the chest. Fucking scumbag.
Yeah.
So this massacre prompted the city of San Diego to address the tactical methods by which they responded to incidents of this nature and the firearms in the possession of responding officers. The police department increased training for special units and purchased more powerful firearms in order to equip law enforcement to respond to the scenarios of this magnitude. According to one officer who confessed to having felt inadequate because he had been equipped with a .38 caliber revolver on the day of the massacre, he said, quote, "The time had come where you had to have a full-time, committed, and dedicated, highly trained, well-equipped team able to respond rapidly anywhere in the city." On August 2nd, San Diego Police Chief William Colendar held a press conference to disclose the result of the San Diego Police Department's inquiry to the response to the massacre and the fact that an estimated 73 minutes had elapsed between the time the first officer had arrived on scene and to Huberty's death. The result of this internal inquiry found that although the arrival of SWAT team members was delayed by rush hour traffic, the police acted appropriately with their method of response, which is get there, secure it. If you fucking see him, shoot him.
Yeah.
Colendar stated that any suggestion police should have stormed the restaurant was ludicrous, adding that the officers had been unable to obtain a clear view of the gunman because the windows had been spiderwebbed by bullet holes, making visibility in direct sunlight difficult. He also emphasized that the 8-minute delay between the passing of the instruction authorizing law enforcement personnel to kill Huberty on site and his death made no difference to the final death toll. Well, I didn't realize, I guess I didn't really connect those two, that it took only 8 minutes from them authorizing shoot to kill to Huberty being fucking yeeted from his life.
Yeah.
That is insanely fast. Kolindar finished his report by stating, "I believe the operation was handled the way it should have been handled." And as fucked up as it is, I agree.
I mean, they did what they could.
Yeah, they did what they could, and it's good that they have. I mean, like SWAT it took SWAT a fucking hour to get there, but that. I don't know if at this time they had a full service SWAT team, because I know a lot of agencies now will have like full-time SWAT teams, right? Where that is the only thing you do, and if like say you're gonna be like, oh, like you're on shift and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go grab food for everybody, I'm gonna go get a coffee. You bring all your gear with you in your car, in your patrol vehicle. That way, in case you get paged out, you can immediately go from where you are to wherever. Lowest guy on the totem pole. So basically, let me backtrack a little bit. In situations now, when this happens, say people are out driving around, it's like maybe some people are scouting for a search warrant they're gonna do, or they're maybe they're off doing whatever, they're in their car, they're helping somebody doing whatever. They have all their gear in their vehicle. So what happens is they get paged out to active shooter situation like this, or barricaded subject. This is more of a barricaded subject and active shooter combined. They will respond, rapidly deploy, right? They start off, as far as I know, they start off as operators. So those are the guys, you see the classic SWAT guys with their rifles and shit, and they they get ready to go. That way, in case of possible engagement, if the lowest guy on the totem pole then goes back to station, if he's not already there, grabs their armored vehicle, their Bearcats, their APCs, they fucking respond to scene. That way they have a command point, and they have all this shit. Then they can deploy from that, and then the guys who are like EOD snipers, whatever, they can fucking rapidly deploy. Negotiations like SRT, not SRT, CNT, crisis negotiation teams, like those guys can fucking deploy. They kind of just rapidly evolve this thing as it goes and goes. With this, I can see, you can definitely see now how things have changed, because back then they were like, everybody go to the headquarters, everybody suit up, we'll do whatever, and then we'll drive back out there. But with the tactics they had at the time, I feel like San Diego Police Department did a very good job. Mm-hmm. Anyway, when questioned in regards to the actual motive behind Huberty's murder spree, Kolindar dismissed any notion of racial motive behind the massacre, informing reporters he didn't like anybody.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. He was fucking insane.
Yeah. For sure.
Within 2 days of the massacre, the restaurant had been refurbished and renovated. The restaurant planned to open for business in the hope that, as one employee commented, the building will become just another McDonald's. Following discussions between community leaders and McDonald's executives, a decision was reached July 24th that the restaurant would not reopen. The renovated restaurant was demolished at midnight on September 26th.
I feel like that's probably the best. Yeah.
That's definitely the better idea.
Yeah. No one's gonna go there.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely not. Following the closure and the demolition of the restaurant, McDonald's donated the ground to the city with the stipulation that no restaurant can be constructed on its site. For over 4 years, alternate plans to convert the site either to a memorial park or a shrine of the dead were considered. The land was later sold in February of 1988 to Southwestern College for $136,000 with the agreement that a 300 square foot area in front of the campus extension of the college intended to construct be set aside as a permanent memorial for the 21 victims. McDonald's later constructed another restaurant 2 blocks away from the site of the massacre upon the West San Ysidro Boulevard. The restaurant chain also announced a commitment to donate $1 million to the Survivors Fund. With the widow of McDonald's founder Ray Kroc also adding a personal contribution of $100,000 to assist with burial costs, financial aid for relatives of the deceased, and the counseling of survivors. It is very rare that I say good job for corporate companies,
right?
Because usually I'm like, fuck you guys. But everyone did some good shit. They did some good shit of like the McDonald's was like, donate to the city. Just here's what we want. You guys can do whatever the fuck you want. There's no restaurants. And then the widow of the McDonald's founder, was just like $100,000 out of her own stuff to donate to families, and that's awesome.
Yeah,
glad they did that. The sum total of donations received by the fund would exceed $1.4 million.
Wow.
Amidst impromptu protests from the San Ysidro residents and donators, Edna Huberty received the first payout from this fund.
Huh.
Was a Bill Trigger fucking
Yeah.
Yeah. That's because like it or not, she's also a victim.
I was gonna say it's like mixed feelings,
Yeah.
Like she's absolutely still a victim.
What you were saying earlier is like, why didn't she call 911? And it's like, I don't know. If say your husband, right? Not me. your fictional husband beats the fuck out of you, right?
Yeah.
Threatens you constantly, threatens your children with knives, with death.
Right.
All this shit, is paranoid, is fucking crazy, and you're just chilling in the bed and he comes in, he's strapped to the fucking teeth, and he goes, I'm going hunting for humans. Are you gonna be like, okay. And then just like, I'd be fucking terrified.
Oh no, absolutely terrified. But also, it's hard to know until you're in that sort of situation. But like, let them leave and then be like, hey, just. But also, it's hard to know what you would do in that.
Yeah, I mean, it is true. Like, I mean, what are you gonna tell the police? Like, if my husband says he's going home for humans and has guns, where's he going? I don't fucking know.
I do feel like that would have at least pointed them in the right general vicinity, because as we noticed, he was only 200 feet.
200 yards.
200 yards?
Yeah.
From the apartment.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it would have maybe possibly helped with response time. Maybe?
Yeah. Maybe, but, I mean...
Then there's also the guarantee that it may not have, but, like...
But the question, I guess my question is, do you believe that if he did, if she did call 911, police did arrive, right?
Right.
And the police were there within, let's say 2-3 minutes after the initial shooting started.
Then you also have to think about SWAT.
Yeah.
Which is like another component that took a long time.
Yeah. Do you think that that would have changed the dynamic of the shooting? Do you think that would have allowed? I mean, I guess there's a lot of like, maybe he could have come out and the cops could have got shots on him, but
it's truly a what if situation. There's no way to predict what could have happened.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm not shaming her, like,
No, yeah, no.
It's another like aspect of like,
what if?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, a permanent memorial for those killed in the massacre was formally unveiled in 1990. This memorial consisted of 21 hexagonal white marble pillars, 1 to 6 feet, each bearing the names of the victim. The sculpture was designed by former Southwest College student named Roberto Valdez, who said the inspiration of the design was, quote, the 21 hexagon will represent each person that died with their different heights, representing the variety of ages and races of the people involved in the massacre. And they are bonded together in the hopes that the community in a tragedy like this will stick together like they did. And if you're in San Ysidro, the monument is located at 460 West San Ysidro Boulevard. And I'll see if I can get a photo up and put it up on the screen for you guys. Each anniversary of the San Ysidro McDonald's massacre sees this monument decorated with flowers. On the 3 days, people of Mexican heritage observe the Day of the Dead. Candles and offerings are brought on behalf of victims. Several family members of the rest of those killed along with survivors of the massacre, filed lawsuits against McDonald's and the San Diego Police Department. These suits were heard in the San Diego County Superior Court. All lawsuits were coincided and later dismissed before trial in a defense motion for summary judgment. The plaintiffs appealed this ruling. On July 25th, 1987, the California Court of Appeal affirmed the summary judgment of the defendants, ruling McDonald's or any other business had no duty of care to protect patrons from unforeseeable assault by murderous madmen, and the implemented security measures typically used by restaurants to deter criminals, such as guards and closed-circuit television cameras, could not possibly have deterred the perpetrator, as he did not care about his own survival, which is fucking quite the statement.
Yeah, no, there's literally, that would not have changed.
No,
a single thing.
Yeah, I don't think James Huberty would have just shot a fucking baby in the back and then been like, "There's a camera, I guess I'll stop." Like, no, that dude. The moment he walked out that apartment door, he knew he wasn't coming back.
Yeah,
I don't think. Because we talked about he drove to some other places, like this could have been, I don't know, there's so many what ifs, but like he was not, I don't think he really truly, I don't know why I think about why he went to the McDonald's. Like I think that just maybe he just was like, I'm just here to fucking kill people. That's all he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And then this was driving past McDonald's and was like, a lot of people there.
Yeah.
And that's why he went to those other two places first and was like, not enough. And was like, yeah, this will do.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck it. And then just started killing people. And even when police show up, he started shooting at the cops. He's like, I don't give a fuck. He didn't give a fuck. He just sort of
yeah.
If it breathed, he was shooting at it.
A security guard would not have prevented anything either. That would have just been another body to the death toll.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It wouldn't have done anything.
Yeah, no, I don't think that. Unless, like I said, there's so many what ifs. Like,
right.
What if he was in the bathroom at the time and they came out and was able to engage him, and then they fucking got into a gunfight, like right there. Maybe he could have been like mortally wounded, and things that have changed, but
maybe.
Like probably not. Odds are, if you're a security guard, what are you gonna do? You're gonna stand at the front door, just gonna watch. And it's not like was really like. It didn't really, as far as it seemed, like really like this place is getting robbed a lot, so they had to do that, or
right,
or whatever. So it just kind of just seemed like it was just at the fucking McDonald's, man. I've never been to McDonald's where there's an armed guard there.
I simply would not be going to that McDonald's if there's an armed guard.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm good.
Yeah, that's fucking nuts.
I'm gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah. Furthermore, the San Diego Police Department were also exonerated from any culpability or negligence with their applicant panel ruling. Quote, in view of the sheer horror of the ordeal, it is difficult to imagine anything the police could have done or failed to do which would have made the risk of any greater than that to which the victims were exposed before the police arrived. All lawsuits were dismissed in August of 1991. In July of 86, Edna Huberty filed a lawsuit against both McDonald's and her husband's longtime former employer, Babcock & Wilcox.
What?
The civil suit, seeking $5 million in damages, asserted her husband's murder spree had been triggered by a combination of both poor diet and her husband working around highly poisonous metals without adequate protection over the course of many years.
All right. No.
The suit specifically cited that no traces of either drugs or alcohol had been discovered in Huberty's body at his autopsy, negating any possibility of his actions being influenced by either factor, and the alleged accrual of high levels of lead and cadmium discovered in Huberty's body at his autopsy had most likely accumulated via an ongoing exposure to the fumes inhaled during 13 years he had been employed as a welder without sufficient respiratory protection by Babcock & Wilcox. In that, a combination of Huberty's exposure to these chemicals, which he had ingested high levels of monosodium glutamate, and the staple McDonald's food he had regularly consumed, had induced delusions and uncontrollable rage The lawsuit was dismissed in 1987. Edna Huberty unfortunately died of breast cancer in 2003. Survivors, Albert Leos, also later became a police officer.
Oh.
He served in several police departments in the South Bay region of San Diego County, and then later joined the San Diego Police Department.
Oh.
So,
I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say MSG doesn't cause murderous rage.
yeah, probably not.
I mean, probably not.
Probably not. Sure, it's tasty.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's ridiculous of a claim, because that's not how that works.
Definitely not. There it is. They're stopping the ambience. But, wow, pretty fucking brutal, huh? There was actually a movie about this.
There was a movie about it?
There's a movie. It's actually a really famous movie.
Oh.
And I'm trying to remember the name. If I can get my laptop to open back up, I can tell you what the name is. It is quite a famous movie that was made about this, and it's like right on the tip of my tongue, and I'm just trying to remember.
I might be able to find it before your laptop boots up.
Hold on.
I'm working on it.
Hold on.
If I could type. 77 minutes.
77 minutes. That's what it was.
I was struggling to type, but I got there. Yeah.
That's the documentary. There was a movie.
I don't know.
It's called Bloody Wednesday.
Oh. I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's not one that I think of. I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
I want to say it's this movie.
I think so, because that also came up on my search.
Yeah, I want to say it's called this. Excuse me while I just look up this movie. It was released. No, it's not Bloody Wednesday. Let's say movie. Maybe it is 77. No, I feel like it was older than that. I don't know. There's a movie that's Falling Down. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
1993. Yeah.
Oh, that definitely fits more in the timeline.
Yeah. So it's loosely based off of this.
Okay.
Basically, unemployed, divorced, William Foster's having a bad day. His car breaks down Los Angeles highway, He leaves the vehicle and begins to trek across the city to attend his daughter's party. Makes his way to an urban landscape. Frustration, resulting in violent encounters with various people, including a vengeful gang and a cop. There's a whole fucking thing, but there's a whole thing we start shooting up stuff. It's based off of him.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah. Did everybody have a good time? Everybody cry?
I was real close to crying.
You were close.
I was real close.
I had to. That's why I kept having to stop, because I was like, I'm just gonna fucking just take a little break ski for a second.
That's why I would put the camera on you.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta fucking take a second, because that's a lot.
Yeah. Pretty fucked up, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like there's so many what ifs to this scenario of what if she called 911? What if McDonald's was closed that day? What if,
yeah.
There's the things we'll never know. But
right.
what we do know is that he took a nice sniper round through the fucking chest, and he's dead.
Yeah.
Forever. Thankfully.
Which I feel like, I don't know, I feel like he got off too easy.
Yeah, I mean...
Well,
it was also California, so I don't know if they would have even... I don't think they even would have fucking fried his ass or lethal injection him.
Yeah.
California
in the 80s, though?
I don't know.
Late 80s?
I don't know
when they...
I don't know if they even have a death penalty.
They might have at one point.
I know they did.
But when, yeah.
Wow, I wish I could spell.
That was me earlier trying to fucking type. I was like, I can't type right now. Did they?
So capital punishment is legal in the state of California. So.
Oh. So they might. They probably would have.
The last person they executed was in 2006.
Oh yeah, no, they absolutely probably would have. Like.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
I didn't know that about California. I thought they didn't have one anymore.
Yeah, I don't know, but you know, so many what ifs. You know, if this were to happen nowadays, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe it could have been. Maybe it would have been half the deaths.
Yeah.
Or a quarter, or whatever. I don't know, but it's insane nonetheless. But
also, I mean, to be fair, like San Diego has a great track record, but you look at other states, other cities, and they're not. So, like, imagine if
like Uvalde and
yeah, like you imagine if it was in a state or a city where things are Uvalde was recent.
Yeah.
And so poorly handled. Like, I can't imagine if this had been in any other city.
Well, I mean,
that was ran, like, not conducted the way should be, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you also got to look at it from, I mean, look at the Route 66 tour of the Las Vegas Massacre, where the guy was up inside the Mandalay Bay Tower and was shooting upon a country music festival.
Yeah.
You know? And law enforcement was there already.
Yeah.
Like, they were monitoring the situation, and they quickly were able to determine where this guy was.
Yeah.
You know? And try to make a progressive effort to move on this guy and get him. And still didn't really matter. You know? He still ended up killing himself and all that. Which, again, he got off too easy. But it's just, I honestly, there is no true way. I'm going to put this in the best way possible for the listeners and the viewers and all that, is when it comes to critical incidents like this, the police aren't going to save you.
Yeah. They
will do everything they can to stop the threat and try to save your life if you are critically injured in this situation. But you have to always have an exit plan. Always have some way to defend yourself. Pepper spray is a fucking good option, you know? Or carry a gun if you can, you know? And I'm not saying that, you know, the moment some dude comes in and starts pumping off fucking rounds with a shotgun and Uzi, that you go up and you're like, let's fight. But you have to be able to be ready to defend yourself, because you never know when this shit's gonna happen, right?
Yeah, which is a terrifying thought on its own.
Terrifying. But with that being said, thank you so much for joining us in this week's episode of Haunts, Graves, and Omens. If you could be so kind to rate us on your listening apps and like, share, subscribe on YouTube, we would appreciate it that so much. We're working our way up to episode 100, and we're getting there, and it's getting very exciting. It's pretty cool. But if you want to follow Haunts, Graves, and Omens on Instagram and TikTok, you can at HGOPodcast. Follow on Haunts, Graves, and Omens. Check it out. It's there. If you want to follow me on Instagram and TikTok, you can at I Hunt the Haunted. Tay.
Hi. You can follow me directly on Instagram and TikTok at Lunar Thrill. That's the only social media I got. You can also follow our dog at Spirit the Turf on Instagram. But otherwise, there's that. And then Marty.
You saw me get over there. Looks just like him, dude. It's crazy.
Stop.
What do you mean?
I mean, listen. It's a nice little I like when Marty's not here, I like our little, like, you know, he's been an ostrich and he's been a pig and then, like, he's been a water bear.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think that's a fun little.
It's a fun bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just changes every time.
And his usual, like, my beer drinking cam, dude. It's just, yeah.
I like that.
Well, in any case, stay spooky.
Stay haunted.
Fuck James Huberty.
Yeah.